Welcome to Mac and Blue, where we introduce you to who is building Arizona, bringing you the people and businesses that shape the landscape around us. From economic development and developers, underwriters and lenders, architects and engineers, to the very builders and suppliers that bring it all together. Now let's join our hosts, Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky, aka Mac and Blue.
Welcome to Mac and Blue. I'm Robert Johnson, Vice President of Business Development with Torrey Contracting. The man staring at me directly to my left is JJ Levensky. He's the president of Blue Wave General Contracting.
It's out of admiration.
It is. I felt it.
And pure, I don't know, just
I can feel it.
bewilderment. That
There's a little bromance here, and it gains traction.
I'm still
every
wondering
week.
why he hasn't been promoted yet. So,
I was going to talk to you after this.
But
there is something to be discussed
Oh,
that is not official yet.
oh.
So that's a tease there.
What's cool is I still have never met the people you work with Torrey, but if they're listening and watching, if you want to put them as head custodial engineer, we'll all endorse that.
Director of engineering, yes. That's what that goes
Uniquely
to.
qualified.
Yeah. We actually have guests today.
We do have guests today.
not just
Unlike last week where
it's
we
the Robert
didn't, we
and
just
JJ
sat and kind of wailed on each other. This week, we are really glad to have you two guys. So far, I mean, the pre-show discussion was enough for me. I was going to just say, let's get out of here. But we have Sean Fabor and Kent Groh. Did I get that right? Just want to make sure.
Nailed it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right on.
Let's look on Hooked on Phonics.
Okay.
There
we go.
Yeah. There you
close
go.
enough.
We got it. With Alta, Arizona. I'm going to let you correct me in a minute. And also co-host of Geoholics, the podcast.
Correct.
That's correct.
Welcome. I've heard a lot of great things about you. The things that he could remember from when he was on your podcast.
Well, and for the audience's sake, full disclosure, we had Mark Taylor on quite a while ago. He, how do we describe it? He kind of co-hosts with you guys occasionally.
Yeah, he's a guest co-host.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We loosely guessed.
Right.
So, and then I was lucky enough to go on your podcast, and it wasn't like a reciprocation. It was just like, hey, it was the perfect timing. You represent what we're doing with building Arizona under the Mac and Blue thing. So, and it was getting close to the holidays. It's like, let's get Kent and Sean on.
Yeah.
So with that,
We
you
are
guys
excited
know,
to be here.
You guys know how this goes.
Yep.
Let the audience know a little bit about each one of you. Let's start with Alta first, because then we'll go to the podcast second. So,
Cool.
Sean, you want to go?
Like you said, Kent and I both work at Alta. I'm the principal there. And Kent is, what do you do again?
Substitute teacher, then? Is
Oh,
that what he
I'm
is?
principal.
Yeah, assistant principal.
Assistant. Well, I am always in the principal's office.
Yes, you are in the
100%
principal's
of the
office.
time. So I don't know what that makes me.
Alta is, we focus survey, civil engineering, material testing. Myself, I'm a geotech engineer, so we do a lot of mainly testing and surveys is our focus.
Okay.
A little bit of civil mixed in.
Yeah, with a little bit
And
of
what was your
civil.
background, Sean?
Strangely enough, my degree is in mechanical engineering.
Oh, wow.
And when I moved out to Arizona, my best friend from college that we kind of moved out here together, he was a civil and got me a job with him sampling concrete. And
Wow.
that was in 2004. So construction was going crazy and I liked it, kept doing it.
Stuck with it.
Couple years in, I've been doing civil for a couple years. I said, shoot, I'll just take the PE and see what happens. And passed
Like
it
winning the
and-
lottery.
Passed it, and now I'm a civil engineer.
I hate people.
Where did you
like
go to
this.
school?
Yeah.
North Carolina State.
Okay. Ooh, Wolfpack.
Oh, yeah. Ken?
Yeah. I'm Kent Groh. I'm a professional land surveyor, geospatial expert, I like to say. Because
Wow,
everybody
that
asks me
sounds
all
like
the
you're doing
time.
something in space.
Well, it kind of
Yeah,
sounds
I mean,
really,
that's
really impressive, right? Because when
It's
people ask
very
me what I do,
Is that
and
your
I-
like Tinder tagline or what?
Geospatial.
It's my grinder profile, as Mark Taylor would say. So no, whenever somebody asks me what I do, and I say I'm a land surveyor, the first thing there's, you put plants in the ground or this. And I'm like, no, land surveyor, not a landscaper. So I went away from that, and now I say I am a geospatial professional.
And then they
they're
ask, what the hell is that?
They're like, wow, that sounds really impressive. So I could tell them about all the cool stuff that I do. But no, I manage the survey group for the Phoenix office. Survey North, as we may be calling it.
Survey North.
Phoenix office. Where's the other office?
Tucson.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And we have a small office in Sierra Vista.
Okay. Very cool. So,
do you-
full Arizona coverage.
Is
right.
while you're on that one, the Sierra Vista one, is that to cater to the fort? Is that your primary and the defense contractors down there, or are you doing everything in that area?
Definitely as far as survey goes, we do the majority in that area. But I would say about half of the revenue is from Fort Huachuca.
Yeah,
in that
I would
area.
expect that. Seems
then,
like that kind of feeds Sierra Vista.
Yeah, it really does. But it's a growing town.
Oh yeah, it's
I mean,
beautiful down there.
And it's like you said, it's really nice, and they're just need some more infrastructure, and we're helping them get there.
Did you go? How did you guys strategically go there? Did you follow a client there?
KE&G was our big
that makes
client,
sense,
and
yeah.
they're based out of there, and they said we need you here, and so we stuck an office there.
Kent, back to a little bit more background on you. You're a Midwesterner, right?
I am.
And a Saluki.
And a Saluki. Yep.
these
SIU
Salukis.
Carbondale.
For all of you.
Wouldn't change it for anything. Trust
So
me.
for all the people that don't know what a Saluki is, what college is that?
Southern Illinois University
Yeah.
at Carbondale.
See?
Yeah. 6 hours south of Chicago.
He graduated summa cum laude.
Yeah,
did.
I was moving
Like
my
3
chair a little
times.
bit farther away when you said he had Saluki. I don't know. I don't know what
He was
that
on
is, but I
he
don't
was on
want
the Tommy Boy plan. Most people would have been a doctor by the time he got done, but it's all right.
Yeah. No.
And how many years have you been in Arizona now?
Phew. I thought he was going to say, how many years did you go to college?
I think we already answered that.
Solid 7. How many years what?
Have you been out here?
Oh, since 2006.
Okay.
I moved out here. Yeah.
So then you've been at Alta how long?
About a year and a half.
Okay. And you've been there for quite a while.
Yeah, since the inception.
Okay. Fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the civil stuff, talking before we go into other things, thinking about back to a lot of our recent guests, we've spent a lot of time talking about how, we're having human capital issues in every gamut of what we're doing, whether it was general contracting, trade contracting, and now you guys are here as what we call, the other part, the technical side, whether it's on the AEC, you guys are the A&E part, and very supportive in that role. Are you guys seeing the same issue of not finding enough qualified people?
Do you listen to our show at all
I
either?
know.
Because that's a
I'm
common
poaching
theme.
I'm poaching for our audience.
I'm not going, shh, we got that idea from their show. Yeah.
To answer your question, absolutely.
You're right.
The saying around our office is they stopped making surveyors and geotech engineers at the factory, so we have to make them ourselves.
Right.
So with that being said now, for our listeners, in my mind, when you say surveyor, I'm like the guy with the stick and the little thing, and they're out in the middle of traffic, or they're walking around a site. Is that still what you do? Is that still how you do it?
That is like the foundation of what surveyors do for sure. But because of like advancements in technology and things of that, it's just, the umbrella that geospatial covers now, which includes surveying, is so far reaching, whether it be terrestrial 3D scanning, mobile scanning,
This is what I want to drill
drones,
into.
LiDAR, all that stuff. It's become such a specialized profession or trade, depending on who you ask. Some folks refer to it as a trade, others a profession. But yeah, it's the skill set that's required now to be a surveyor is like it's never been before.
Yeah, which I find real interesting. A lot, the typical layperson that is not a construction person, the majority have no idea. They still see surveying as the same old, their parents bought land and a surveyor came out and put stakes where the property lines are. That's kind of this thing. But it's so much more, which I would think even the way that the technology is going could be a catalyst for bringing in the newer blood that wants to that's more techie and wants to do techie things.
You would think that.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah,
But
no question.
what's it going to take to make that happen? But it's exciting stuff. It's really, really neat when you start drilling into it.
Well, go ahead and answer it.
What's it going to take?
What's it going to take? Well, that's the $1 million question. If we could figure that out, wow, we'd be rich. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have much of a podcast.
Yes,
we wouldn't have anything to talk about.
But it wasn't that. But and again, we baited you because we knew that was one of the biggest topics that we keep talking about on our podcast. I know it's on your podcast too. But I think you've kind of done it. You created the podcast to create awareness. One, you get into I call it the cool techno geeky stuff that you guys consistently bring up. And Mark's a good example. It's like bring in the drones and bring in all the fancy stuff, and let's take kids. And I say kids because I'm an old bastard, but let's turn gaming into something that we need more people to do, right? And so I don't know, you can't go down.
Yeah, well, let me first say Mark is another wannabe surveyor. Let's make that clear. Kind of like Sean here.
He flies.
I am definitely a wannabe surveyor.
He's probably texting us
He
all right
flies
now.
drones and considers himself a surveyor now.
Yeah. But no, you're exactly right. There's getting people, creating awareness, like we talked about. The podcast is definitely one avenue, but there's so much more that needs to happen because there's such a shortage of surveyors. We talk about it all the time. The average age of a licensed surveyor is like 59 years old, not just in our country, but that's like a global issue. This isn't just an issue like in the United States. This is a massive issue, and everybody's experiencing the same problems. But it's because we have done such a horrible job as surveyors promoting the profession for way too long, and now we're paying the price for that, because surveyors, I think, for the longest time were very prideful, prideful individuals. They want to keep the work close to themselves, call it job security, call it whatever. But there hasn't been a lot of mentoring taking place. So now the whole entire profession is trying to play catch up. There's only a handful of post-secondary education programs in the country. I could talk about this for hours, but some states require a 4-year degree to become a licensed surveyor. Some are a 2-year degree. Arizona is one of the few states that doesn't require any post-secondary education.
Thank you. I was going to drill into this. What exactly person needs?
So where does that? Hold on. Let's go down that.
Yeah,
so Ken,
that is very interesting.
is that bad or good?
I think there should be a happy medium.
Okay.
I mean, I took the longest way possible of obtaining my
We already went down that. I mean, Dr. Rohr. Or Dr. Groh, I mean.
But I got my license in Missouri initially. Actually, I was living in Southern Illinois at the time.
Oh.
And
Did that come out of a vending machine?
no.
Oh, you actually took a test.
Yeah,
Okay,
I actually took that test, yes.
Come on.
So
Sorry.
wait, why Missouri?
Because in Illinois, the requirement to get a license was a little more strict than it was in Missouri.
Oh,
I
so
was able
the
to take
typical
Missouri
take the
test
easy way out
first.
kind of thing.
Well, I took the Missouri test first, and then the Illinois test and the Iowa test, and then of course when I got to Arizona, it was no big deal.
Is there
But,
reciprocity?
No.
You have to be
there's
licensed in
not-
every state, right?
You do, because every state has different laws.
So it's just like
statutes
me
and
as a
things like
general
that.
contractor, I'd have to. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but like me, I don't have a degree in surveying. My degree's in architecture. So like for me to go to say New Mexico, that requires a 4-year degree, I could not get my license in New Mexico.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Even if you pass all the
Nope.
tests,
Nope,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
Again,
matter.
you would think that there would be some
It's kind of frustrating.
But isn't
somebody
that-
that would get together and say, let's do something nationally. So if this guy goes to school,
One would think,
Yeah.
right? One would think.
So in the whole your national association, which I'm guessing is
There
what
is
the
one.
professional,
National Society of Professional Surveyors.
they haven't advocated for that.
No.
Wow.
In the engineering community, they do a little better.
So as a
Because-
civil,
Yeah, as a civil, it's called a NCES, National Council of Engineer Exam, something like
Right.
that, where if you go through, say I got my PE in Arizona, then I can apply to the national level, and different states have different hazards and problems. So sometimes you still may need to take another test. But for example, for me to go to New Mexico, I can get my PE license by just submitting a couple forms and paying a fee, because I've already been pre-screened by this national council. But if I went to California, they have earthquakes in California, so I need to take another test to practice geotech in California.
so Ken, sorry, we went all tangential
That's
there.
fine.
Back to where you were going is that happy medium.
Yep.
Okay, so the story about you in Missouri and in Illinois and everything, if knowing what we have now as our current paradigm, which we can't find enough people, then I think what I'm hearing you say is that we're ripe for Arizona because of our work, and then even within the last few weeks, we've got more announcements of more billions of dollars pouring in here. It's not going to stop. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were the voice for all of your industry right now, what would you be advocating for?
I would be advocating for a combination of the two. Like, I think a 4-year degree is too much. A 2-year degree, I think, would be appropriate, and then X amount of years of experience working under, the guidance of a professional land surveyor.
Okay.
So, like right now in Arizona, you can, you graduate high school in 8 years, I think it is. You can take the first part of the exam, and then 4 years after that. So it's a long process, of course, but if you have some post-secondary education, it takes up for those number of years of experience and that type of thing. So, but I think a 2-year degree would be appropriate, and I would like to see that be like a nationally accepted standard.
I'm going to peel back from a guest or two ago. We had Todd and Todd from Sun Valley Masonry on here, and one of the things that they've done, their industry, and there's no secret here, the larger companies had to do this, and unfortunately it came out of their pocket. Like, they had to write the checks to where they were like, hey, we're not going to get any state help, we're not going to get any national help. If we're gonna do training, we're gonna have to just bite the bullet. And so what's happened is they were one of the instrumental, because they're one of the largest masons in the state. They developed their own training program. Do you think that's what it's also going to take in your industry with all these? Let's be honest. It seems like whether it's Alta or some of your competitors, they're not making any more mom and pop shops for civil and surveying. Everyone's the mergers and acquisitions just keeps going. Is it going to take that movement where these companies, even your competitors, you guys get together and go, "Hey, we got to do something," or is it going to come more from the association level? I'm guessing not.
Yeah, no, I think the path you're going down is exactly what it's going to take, and it's something that we're focusing on next year at Alta. As a matter of fact,
good.
We're developing an in-house training program for our surveyors, and we mentioned the National Society of Professional Surveyors, and they have a program already established called the CST, which stands for Certified Survey Technician.
Okay.
And there's CST level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And there's an office track you can take and a field track you can take going through those levels. And each one takes, X amount of years of experience. So after like a year and a half, you should be able to take CST level 1, a couple of years later, CST 2, and so on and so forth. And by the time you're done with that, you're pretty much teed up to become a professional surveyor. So what we're doing is we're hiring people that are interested in making surveying a career. And with those type of hires, it helps us to implement a training program based on the CST exam. So, our folks, we want them all to become CST1, CST2, CST, and ultimately become licensed. That would be like the pie in the sky dream. But, we're looking for people that, want to make survey a career. We're developing an in-house training program based on a track that's already in place, the Certified Survey Technician program. So nobody else is really doing that. And that's what it's going to take. And then it's also what it's going to take for retention, we believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we have to set up milestones and goals. So kids these days, everyone says that, but kids these days need to see a path. They need to see.
Yes, they do.
They need to see. Okay, if I do this for 2 years, then I'll be here, and then 2 more years, I'll be here, and then after that, and that's mainly the focus on us getting people involved and getting awareness out there, is because not a lot of people know that can be a very fun, exciting, and lucrative career.
Yeah.
Is there?
For sure.
So on that, Kent or Sean, is there anything else that, without giving any proprietary secrets away with Alta, but that just addresses the surveying side? Is there anything else in-house that you guys are looking at coupling that with? Because let's be honest, on the civil side, you do have to have your PE.
Yeah.
It's a lot more stringent on that side, but are there synergies, Sean or Kent?
Well, there is, in the sense that there's a lot more to civil engineering than just drawing roads and bridges. I mean, we have half of our revenue comes just from material testing, and there needs to be guys out there sampling concrete and sampling asphalt and testing that in a lab, and you don't need a 4-year degree for that.
No.
And we've had a little bit more success because sometimes we work a lot with contractors and laborers, and you find the one that starts to see a guy out there testing the concrete instead of standing in it, and that starts to get that light bulb out there, like, hey, maybe I can do that. And then similar to what we're doing with survey, it's okay, here, you need a year experience to get this certification, and another year experience to get this one, and in 3 years you can be here, and in 4 years you can be here. You still can't be a licensed engineer, but there's still a
There's a place
technical
for-
place for that, and it's similar. And you're outside, you're kind of not setting your own schedule, but you're not sitting in front of a computer all day, and that's the big attraction.
Yeah.
And I think the difference is there are requirements to, if you sample concrete in this state, in most occasions you have to have a certification to do that. If you test soil and asphalt, you have to have a certification to do that. And I would say that is not a requirement in survey, and it maybe should be.
Yeah, for certain things I could see that. We had a gentleman on, Tim Birch, I'll mention his name. He's actually the president of the National Society of Professional Surveyors. And he brought up a really interesting model where there's like a general survey license that allows you to do certain things like lot surveys and some of the basic stuff.
Okay.
And then there'd be like certifications that goes along with it. Like you get your, your Altus survey certification, or you get your whatever, terrestrial 3D scanning certification or something else. It's almost like the medical field where there's like a general practitioner license and then other certifications that you can get on top of that that would allow you to do, different things.
Seems almost so common sense that that's the where it's going to go.
Yeah.
It just needs the push, right? Or
needs
the
a
or
push.
the or the pull or the pull.
Yeah, for sure. And that's probably why nothing like that has really happened, just because. And let's face it, we're an aging profession, and a lot of the guys and girls that are in like leadership positions at the national level are of the older generation, not ready to move on quite yet, unfortunately, but at the same time, kind of
Done
holding
a terrible
things back.
job of mentoring and bringing
Yeah.
along the next
Yeah,
generation.
yeah. And mentoring is the
would say.
biggest thing. I mean, Sean mentioned something like this younger generation, they need to have a path to run on. But on top of that, I mean, they learn so fast.
Yes, they do.
It's ridiculous. And I've learned that over the last year.
Bury
just
them
with our-
because they'll
with our-
surprise you. Yeah.
Yeah, with our interns, it's like, at first I was like, interns, but then after I, started working with them a little bit and seeing what they're capable of, it's like, wow, these guys and girls, they learn at a rate that's just unbelievable.
And it's
hard to keep
now
up with
it's
them.
now clear that it's more us is the problem than them.
correct.
It's
Totally
they need
agree.
somebody to feed them information, and they're just
For sure.
sponges that just suck it up so much faster.
Yeah, definitely.
I got a bunch more questions.
No,
you
you
chime
go.
in.
I'm
Of course,
enjoying
I'm kind of partial to this because I'm in the world that deals with you guys all the time. But one huge change I've seen over how many years was, you brought it up, Sean, that with your group specifically, you're testing, your civil, your surveying. I remember when that was 3 different companies, and now it's almost that synonymous with being turnkey for your industry. That being said, I assume that's kind of almost getting true unilaterally across your industry. But what else is going to start happening? I talked about all the M&As. I don't think we're going to unstop that movement. But with that, what else is going to come into the holistic package that is your industry? Am I asking the right question?
Torrey Contracting, your full-service Division 9 contractor. Torrey Contracting operates with a smaller, hands-on team. This cohesive structure results in superior workmanship and economical solutions. We deliver projects with unsurpassed commitment to quality and stewardship of budget. Torrey Contracting, small enough to listen, big enough to deliver.
Well, I think where you're going is, and kind of what our vision has been since we formed Alta a little over 5 years ago, was I like the idea of a one-stop shop, and anyone that wants to develop something should be able to go to one place and have all those things in-house, environmental, and basically starting from, I have a piece of land and I want to build this on it. Here, make that all happen.
Right.
And our vision was to be able to provide that service without having to go to the big, huge WSPs and Stantec's, and they don't even, that's too small for them. So there was a need there to have a one-stop shop on a level that a normal-sized land developer would want to, we could help them.
So what? Well stated, but again, for the audience sake, what are the missing components then to provide that holistic package?
You go into definitely environmental specialty. We do some, but not at a high level. Landscape architecture.
That's the one.
Electrical design. Street light design. There's always a
Because
third
everyone's
party
subbing
for that.
to everyone's partnering with Right Engineering.
With Right
basically.
all your
Engineering,
offsite stuff that you would do.
Yeah, exactly. And in some instances, it works that way. Right Engineering does just about every streetlight
I
design.
know. Yeah.
But they know what they're doing. They do a good job, and they can handle the load from, you see them on small projects to big projects, and that works. But not in the sense of, I don't think landscape architecture is quite there yet, where there's always one. That's why we've added civil, because small civil is hard to come by.
Right.
Like if you want to take 4 acres and split it and get a site plan and a grading and drainage plan, that is a tough thing to find. If you had 100, it'd be easier, but at that smaller level, there's just not a lot of firms out there that are doing it.
So again, this is educational for the audience's sake. I'm shocked too of how we live in this, but how many times I get the question, why do all developers start with the architect, and then why do everyone else work underneath them? It's like they're they're like the linchpin or the key holder to all the other sub-consultants. You already named a bunch of them. I'm saying, and I'm seeing that role is starting to change.
I don't think the architects really ever wanted that role to begin with.
No, they don't.
I would agree with you right there.
Well,
Yep.
but
But remember, that was the paradigm.
Them,
That was the paradigm and the structure that we lived in.
Trying to make it a one-stop shop. I'll go to the architect,
Well, no,
and they're going to be able to get it. And I'm just saying, a developer just says, I can just deal with that, and then he'll deal with the whole thing.
Because here's the thing: if you get a proposal from design, it'll yes, the architect will, let's say, sit down with a capital partner and a developer, if that's how it looks, and they'll have their fee, and then it'll be all the fees. Like imagine they had 5 of their things on there. And when you look at actually what the architect's doing, it's such a small portion. That isn't diminishing their role. Everyone has a very important role. But I think finally people are becoming better educated to realize, hold it, we can bring our team together however we want. And the collaboration is now more key than ever. And so I don't have it's more of a discussion point. It's like I don't have a question, I don't have an answer. I'm just saying I'm seeing a shift in the methodology and mentality around it.
No, we see it. We see it even in what we do and how we market. I market to developers and owners, and as
You're bringing
typically
solutions.
speaking, we're a manufacturer and fabricator of cold form steel wall panels, and a lot of developers and owners are like, I don't deal with you typically. That's a GC or somebody. But then I say, yeah, but if you have to make a decision to go with this type of building now, why waste the money to do all this work and design it as wood and change it or whatever? Let's just make the decision now and move on. I think you're right. I think there is a move to that end.
So on that, are you seeing either one of your roles where if RFQs and RFPs come across your desk, are they coming more and more from a direct source than through an architect?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I've been seeing, especially when it comes to during construction and inspection, the architects don't want any part of that.
Do you do special inspections?
We do.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of what we have is that the geotech and the survey side complement each other so well. Like there's been so many times where survey opportunities have morphed into geotech opportunities and vice versa. I mean, it happens like all the time, it seems like.
Yeah. Most of the time we hear is, oh, I didn't know you did that as well. Yeah, go ahead and throw me a proposal for that too.
Oh, I forgot to get a phase 1 or phase 2.
Yeah.
Do you guys do that? Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we can say we're one of the few firms our size that can say yes to that.
Okay.
But what I see mostly is I think it's going to move into a model, instead of having just the architect run everything, it'll be a 2 or 3 small teams that tackle a development project.
Right.
And the architect and the rest of the suppliers will work as a team. The civil will be one team, and I don't know what the other thing is, but maybe the general contractor that actually does it. But I see it's not going to split so much, but it's not ever going to be one entity that really develops a project. You're still going to have a couple of teams.
My utopian goal is still, before I exit this industry, is that all of us will be on true blockchain to where we all just integrate it. Because then the teams don't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we get away from all the BS that is the politics of our industry right now. And, I know on your podcast I mentioned it, and then, we had one of our earliest guests, we keep repeating it, Tim Default from up in Minneapolis, that was principal with Cunningham Architects for years. He and a group have developed what's called Concert, I always forget the whatever it was, DM, VM, some little, but Concert. And their vision is to take all that data and bring it in holistically. And it's a brilliant movement because it's a solution-based movement. It's not political. It's not, for a money grab. It's like it's what our industry has needed forever. Anyway, I'm going to switch gears. Okay, tell us how you two and why, like how all this cool brainchild stuff morphed into Geoholic's podcast.
You have to take that.
Okay.
Well, this goes back probably 3 years ago now.
Okay.
Myself and a buddy of mine, we're just kind of sitting around, both big podcast fans. We're like, we should do a podcast for surveying because there's nothing out there. And there was zero out there, for the surveying world as it pertains to podcasts. So we were like, okay, what do we do now? Like neither one of us had any idea what to do, how to start a podcast. And it's my youngest daughter's boyfriend at the time, Jake, producer Jake, shout out to him. Super sharp kid, that young generation that just is so
Figure
smart,
anything out.
figure anything out. And he was like, I always went to Jake with like younger generation type questions, So we were at a holiday event, and I'm like, Jake, so me and Ryan are thinking about starting a podcast. Do you know anything about this? And he goes, it just so happens I have a soundboard in the back of my car that I bought a while back, just waiting to do something with it. I'm like, well, would you be interested in helping us out? He's like, absolutely. So fast forward 3 years now, we started out not knowing what the hell we were doing. We were recording in, I think I told you during our show, at the old Minder Binders. And there's a hidden room upstairs in the old Minder Binders. And my wife was working there at the time. That's how we got access to this room. And just the coolest thing, like you go upstairs, there's a bookcase, you pull out a book, the door opens, and there's just like this dark, dingy room in there with a table and everything. So we sat up there and started recording, and it was awesome. And like from that point on, I was just absolutely addicted to it. I say it all the time. If I could do it full time, I would in a heartbeat.
We're working on that.
We're working on that, yeah. Yep. But so yeah, we started just with an idea, and we're 3 years into it now. Sean came on board about 6 months ago.
No, about a year. It was almost.
Has it been a year already?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
you're already crazy. And we literally just over the weekend hit a huge milestone, 100,000 downloads.
How
which
awesome.
is
Yeah,
massive.
that's
for
congrats.
us.
Yeah.
Super
We're excited.
props to you.
So how
Yeah.
did you, and because hopefully we'll convert all of our audience over to subscribe to yours too.
All of them.
What-
Millions.
All millions?
Oh, millions.
Millions of
Yeah.
listeners.
We have utopian goals. But how did you guys bifurcate the duties? Because now you're doing the production, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you guys?
Yeah, well,
did it just morph?
We kind of
or did you consciously kind of say, all right, Kent, you do this, and Sean, you do this?
No.
Well, let me tell a story. This is funny. So
Don't steal his thunder, Kent.
he'll get his chance for sure. He always does.
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
Yeah.
shock collar.
We about a year and a half ago, we started going through some changes. Jake at the time, who I mentioned, he, successful young guy, had a lot of additional responsibilities being thrown at him at work and everything. He's like, Ken, I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. So Jake ended up moving on. Ryan moved on because of some personal issues and things like that. So it was kind of like myself at that time. And
I just been on as a guest.
you've been on a guest, but Connor.
But you guys weren't formally working together yet at all timing.
We were.
Oh, you were?
Just for a
That
short
was-
time, though.
Yeah.
Just
That
for a
was
short
right
time.
as soon as he came on.
Yeah, yeah. So we had a couple iterations, like guest producers and stuff like that, but we kept the show going. And I can't remember the exact conversation, but I think maybe you came to me and said, what are you going to do with the show now that Connor's gone, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm looking for somebody. And he goes, you found him. I'm right here. I'm like, you want to do it? He's like, yeah, I would love to do it. And it's just great chemistry, I mean, it's kind of, it could be challenging.
It's okay.
We're not at
okay.
we're in the infancy of our bromance compared to those two.
Oh, yeah.
They've been married and
We've
all
already
divorced.
consummated
It is
Yeah,
oozing.
it's
I've got my
consummated.
feet up off the floor.
Yeah.
It is oozing. Yeah.
But it works really, really well. Sean had, as far as I know, he had no idea how to edit audio and do all these things. And
But I like the techie stuff. I like
Yeah.
computers and seeing the soundboard and all that. I mean, that's just fun. So
Yeah.
started picking up and learning, and
he loves it.
Yeah,
it's
no,
great.
no, it's cool.
And you think about it, it's like it could be a really challenging relationship. We work together, 8-10 hours a day. We literally share an office at work, 8 to 10 hours a day, and then we podcast together.
well, 8 to 10 is generous.
All right, 6 to 8.
Okay, there you go.
Well, I will tell you. So I'm going to give it kudos to both of you. I remember when I was the guest on yours, the two coolest things were, other than the bourbon, of course, was in your little intro thing, that crazy coincidence of that I was trying to be a smart ass and smart aleck when about the 80s music, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And I put down Yaz.
Yeah.
And to think that you actually had a connection, I thought that was, I was like, I was meant to be with Kenton and Sean on this thing.
Yeah.
And then watching you, the whole thing, just work it over there on that production thing. I was like, the vibe in there, as you guys are doing your podcast, it's different than what we're doing here. But it still had such you feel connected when you're in your podcast. So
Well,
I just want to
you.
give you guys a shout out because I thought it was really cool.
I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan.
Right.
And like my goal from day one has always been, I want it to be Joe Rogan-esque, just casual, fun conversation, having a few drinks, whatever, in a super casual environment.
Right.
And I think we've accomplished that. We do have some plans for next year that are going to take it to another level, a lot of different levels, actually. Super excited about that.
Good.
But so when I was with you guys, I think like a week or two later, you were going up to a big convention in Vegas, correct?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
surprise,
yeah.
of convention in Vegas.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, you guys did some you did some guest things right there, right?
Yeah, we basically packed up the studio and brought it to
See, like,
the
that's huge to
convention
me.
in a booth, and we just did interviews for 3 days.
What were the analytics coming out of that? Did you have was it the same response or was it actually higher?
It's interesting because we had to break it up into like 4 different shows.
Yeah, we had so
really.
many. Yeah, it was 4 1-hour shows.
It
And what was the basis of that convention?
So Trimble Geospatial is like the largest survey, scanners. The
So
whole
it was
thing,
your
manufacturers.
it was your
the big
prime
one.
audience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
It was 6,500 attendees, I think. Does that sound right?
It was over 6,000.
6,000.
And you were the
attendees.
only ones there doing it, right?
doing
Yes,
podcasting.
yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
We were like in the exhibit hall with a bunch of other people.
No,
as
I get
well.
that. I'm just
Yeah.
focusing on the
On the
podcast because
podcast,
I'm
yeah.
just trying to
Yeah.
hammer through that. How
Yeah.
I'm sure it just gravitated toward everything gravitated towards you guys by the end of
Yeah.
that convention.
Well, and the beautiful thing was that Trimble Geospatial is one of our sponsors. We have friends of the program, which are basically sponsors, and they invited us to come up there. They paid our way and everything like that to be there. Gave us a booth, took care of us, and they had like specific members of the Trimble leadership group that were all there in town that they wanted us to interview. So we interviewed all those interesting people. That was incredible. And we made that a separate episode. Like, this is the Trimble leadership episode. But then other than that, it was just like kind of random interviews for the duration of 3 days. So every day we basically released another episode with those guests. So of course you tag all those people on social media. Some people have a bit more of a following than other people. So of course those episodes get a little more of an uptick.
Was there any like surprising takeaway after when you look back on it now, like an aha moment for the whole thing, Sean, Kent?
I think that what I really liked is the evolution of when you start from, it's a 3-day conference. So you start from day one and you can see people walking by and they're just curious. We've got the microphones out there and headsets and they're kind of standing. And then, the second day you'll see the same guy and he's really checking it out. And finally, one of us will just be like, hey, you want to do an interview? It's like, oh, no, I can't do that. No, that's not for me. And then the third day, it's okay. Finally, I'll do it. Yeah, sure.
Up their Magic Mike style.
And then they get on, and we do like a 15-minute, and every single one of those people, they just clicked right to it, and they were nervous in the beginning, and then once you get them talking, you get them going, and like the things that come out that you would never even expect.
Yeah.
And at the end of those random interviews like that, every single one of them's like, oh my God, that was so much fun.
Yeah, right.
I loved it. Let's do it again.
And you get them hooked.
Oh, yeah,
that's
for sure.
that's the big deal.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting.
I am curious though because of how you guys brought that together at such a high profile function befitting of your industry. Afterwards, did any of the big companies associated like say, hey, I want to sponsor you or make a more active role in your podcast or not? I mean, apart from apart from what you already guys have established,
Our friends of the program participation next year is equal to and a little more than it was this past year. Just about everyone's coming back, and a lot of our current friends are asking about further opportunities because I think they see the value. And we went to a couple different shows.
Like conferences like that?
Yeah.
We went to like Geo Week in Denver, did the same type thing there. where else? I was at the 7-state survey conference last year.
Oh, we went down to Tucson for
We've done
roads
Tucson
and streets.
for roads and streets, and they gave us a booth down there to do the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I've kicked that around. We've talked about it.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
There's
you guys
certain
should do
things
it,
that
for sure.
I've been one of those people that has gone to one of those and seen people doing
Yeah.
it and been on it.
Yeah.
Not only is it now, I had been on podcasts before, so, but not only is it cool to sit down and do it, but to the people that are walking
Yes.
around and they see and you feel as a guest, you really feel different.
Oh, yeah.
You feel like somebody.
Absolutely. No question.
And let's face it, there tends to be a little bit of a reciprocity that comes out of that, you know, with,
no doubt.
oh, hey,
Yeah.
man, what you guys did for me was fantastic. Let me just pitch you this bone. Yeah, I mean, that's not why we do it, but it is something. It is certainly something that comes
Nice.
from it.
You know, friends with benefits, right?
It is no question. And that's, we, like I said, this is 3 years in right now. And like my Rolodex of connections, global connections at this point is like second to none. Like nobody has the connections that we have
Yeah.
when it comes to the geospatial industry. I can assure you of that. And the credibility we have now it's ridiculous.
And you know, it's amazing thinking about just how we started this discussion about people thinking you're a guy with a stick and the guy on the other end to the traction that your podcast has brought to this and how much more people are aware, not only the layperson, but other people in the business. It really does move the needle. And it takes some work though, doesn't it?
Well, it does.
Consistent work.
But
by the way.
for me, it's like super humbling, to be honest with you. Because one of my biggest takeaways, like being at Trimble, for example, was people coming up to us and being like,
that's what I was just going to say.
just like coming up and shaking your hand, just like, oh my God, I love what you guys are doing. You get me through the day, blah, 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 blah. I can't believe I'm meeting you.
You get
Let's
me through
take a
my hot yoga
picture.
workout.
I mean, it's just, crazy.
Man, if they're doing hot yoga and listen to that,
Yeah, right.
we've got hope.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not saying theirs is bad, but I mean, you're not
Well,
going
back to our other episode.
Geospatial technology.
Maybe we'll even have listeners come out of the morgue after what you told
Oh, man,
everyone.
that's no joke. We'll have a following of funeral directors. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is like, you don't realize the outreach that you have.
True.
Until somebody like comes up to you and says something like that, or at least once a week I'll get a message on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, just from random people be like, oh my God, love the show, love what you're doing. And I'm just like, every single time I get one of those, first of all, I take a screenshot and I'll send it to Sean. I'm like, look at this. We are making a difference in people's lives. We are in such a unique position to be able to do that.
And we're doing it because it's fun and we enjoy it. It's a fun hobby.
Yeah.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
Well, I think I know. I'll speak for me. One of the main reasons I wanted to get you guys on today was because the connection of the dots. Right? We took the leap of faith less than a year ago for the same reason. We wanted to effectuate it in the construction space generally. Building Arizona under the Mac and Blue type thing. You guys have a much more narrow focus, but yet so broad reaching as well. And so back to where I was going with this was, hey. I can speak like this, for two chumps like us to do it and to see like two fine gentlemen like you do it.
Also
Easy.
chumps.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, so,
Chumpy or chump? But yeah, I don't know.
but for anyone out there, just try it.
Just try it.
If you have a passion for doing this and what it leads to, right, and to have an industry focus that's something that you're passionate about, go for it. I will tell you that, looking at the analytics like he and I do, we don't do it because that isn't our scorecard, but you're like, holy Hannah, we've touched more people than I ever thought we would.
Yeah, you just have no idea.
No
Yeah,
idea.
For
and
you
this
guys to
message
say
was-
you hit that milestone, I mean, that had to be like, kind of teary, heart pounding, and then humbling all at the same time.
Absolutely. No question.
oh, yeah.
No
it
question.
absolutely is. You know, and I know he's had people come to him. I've had people come, not nearly on the scale
Like where you guys are. But
yeah, but it's very neat for people to say, oh yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We wanted to be on your and that I think is where I see the difference is in the beginning, and you certainly will relate. Getting people on seemed to be a real chore, and now it's like you're getting people that are sending emails and going, "Oh wow, this is awesome."
Yeah.
If you can ever find a place for me, I'd be willing to come on.
Yep.
And it is just we have picked up considerably. And
I want to, so the audience can get your view on that one. What is that like right now in your current status as Geoholics? In a course of, because do you do weekly?
Weekly.
Once a week. Yep.
Yeah. Do you have a backlog, or are people constantly calling you to try to get on?
We do now, just like you were mentioning. I mean, we're in the same boat.
I'm trying to set the schedule about 2 months
Like
at
a
a
month
time.
or two in advance, just because we want to keep it fresh, you know,
Yep.
Mix up the
basically.
content, yeah.
But it's like, I think like one of the biggest compliments is when one of our guests recommend people to come on the show.
Agreed.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
like I had
Huge.
such a great time. It was so you guys made us feel so comfortable. Blah blah blah. I really think so and so would be a great guest on your show. And then it just kind of snowballs from there. But I mean, we keep a spreadsheet. There's probably 2-3 dozen people on there that
of potentials.
yeah.
And then when we go to a conference,
yeah.
every
Oh,
it
yeah.
just stacks it right back up.
Yeah, you put a fish bowl, drop your card if you want to. I mean, just anything. I mean, it's just it fills up.
We did a fishbowl for a bottle of bourbon giveaway, which we drank on the third day.
I love you guys. That is
I thought you gave away an empty bottle, but
You know what?
We gave
They
it
can
away.
wait.
yeah. Fortunately, there was more.
yeah. Fortunately, there's more, but yeah.
But no, it's super humbling. Yeah.
What? Okay, so you guys kind of broke the ice a little bit about next year and some things. What can you tell us? Like, what's the cool things you guys got planned?
that you can tell us.
Yeah, they can tell us.
Well, we hired I don't know, for lack of a better word, a production company to help us. With
Really, you're demoting him already?
it was his
He's
idea.
right here.
It was his idea.
That was my
He's
idea.
probably like, I want to get, I want to just sit behind the mic.
Because
and
I want
talk.
to do the fun stuff and
Yeah.
not have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like the
But you're
editing part,
multitasking genius. Come on.
well, I still need to do the, when you have guests like Mark Taylor, you got to do some initial editing to clip out some inappropriate items.
Babysitting, handcuffs, tasers.
And then once we get it to where, okay, here's what we want to put out there, then the company will take it and do some standard and then create graphics, help us promote. Because to Kent's credit, I mean, he started this thing and we've gotten to where we're at with just basically posting on LinkedIn and Instagram. Like
Right.
no other marketing efforts. Like I like to think we've gotten to this point without really trying too hard of really trying to get anything out there. It's just really happened organically. So now it's going to allow us to, the artwork and our social media content, they'll prepare it for us and help us promote it. We're also going to start doing YouTube Live and do video every week. We haven't been doing that. It's just been audio for a while. So,
And we're exclusive, I guess, with XYHT, which is probably the largest geospatial publication.
Oh,
in the industry.
extremely cool.
Ooh,
Yeah. What's that?
that's cool.
Yeah, super cool.
So gold.
Yep.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, again, they approached us. We saw them at Trimble, as a matter of fact, and their publisher approached us and was like, "Hey, I think there's an opportunity for a really good strategic partnership here." And they're like, "We love what you do. We tried to start a podcast before, fell flat. We don't have the personalities that you
two
guys have.
yeah.
That basically saying, hey, we want to take advantage of that, but it's going to be a win-win." So. Yeah, we're in cahoots with them, let's just say. That's going to be good. There's going to be that's going to open the door to probably, 20,000 additional people that maybe we're not reaching right now. Who knows? It could be more than that. I don't know what the extent of their publication is, but it's online as well as print. I know it's funny. People still do print, but they do, but it's a really cool opportunity. We mentioned studio space. we like our location where we're at right now, but we're looking for something more Joe Rogan-esque, something a little more industrial. If anybody listening has a space that they'd like to rent us, industrial space,
in Phoenix,
we are interested.
With a liquor license.
Or a proximity to a place too.
An open bar, just it doesn't matter any of that.
Yeah, but we have other folks involved though. We should mention we have some co-hosts. We have Peta Cox, she represents like the education side of surveying. She's actually from Australia.
Oh, fun.
Also the female side of surveying, she does a really good job there. Of course, Mark Taylor we mentioned. One of the reasons to bring Mark on is first great personality, obviously, but expert on the drone side of things.
Which is such an instrumental part of your
so-
business.
For sure.
And I know this is going to, I mean, when he hears this, it's going to be horrible. I'm not going to.
Don't say it.
But he's a very intelligent guy.
He is.
He is really a smart
He's
dude.
awesome.
And when he opens his mouth and starts talking, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I buy
He's
that.
really smart. Yeah, okay, I get it. So,
Oh, God. He just boosted
yeah,
his
I
ego.
know, but I'll get a nice Christmas
Don't worry,
present.
Mark. I'll kick you in the head.
You'll
Make
get
you feel
a
better.
Lego drone ornament for sure.
I'll get an extra poker chip business card.
There you
There
go.
you go.
There you
And
go.
Dr. Nick?
Yep, Nick Smolowski. He's like a GIS expert.
Oh, fun.
Originally from Arizona, now resides in Texas, but rock star, super connected in the GIS world. So we kind of strategically.
So you utilize having some people on virtually.
Oh, yes.
pretty much at this point, it's all virtual.
Oh, is it?
For the
Okay.
most part.
Yeah,
For the most part, yeah.
We like to mix in studio, but a lot of our, like Peta's in Australia, so we'll have
But you've
guests
grown-
from
you-
all over the place.
It's just a natural maturation.
Yeah,
I mean, when you
for
get
sure.
to where you guys are, you have to do it. We almost went the opposite way. Remember, we started off with doing a bunch of them early on, still kind of post-COVID, and then kind of went back to more of this.
Yeah.
Not because we had to, because we could.
Sure.
We're still lucky that primarily with building Arizona, we still have a lot of people we need to interview here locally.
For sure.
And we brought in the technical people. I will say, though, just to add emphasis to what you guys said, through our own mistakes and learning curve, anyone out there that's interested, dive into the video right away, because that does make a difference.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
The other thing we're going to do next year is really focus on kind of broadening the spectrum of guests. And we started doing it in the last 6 months. We're just, from different professions that you wouldn't think are traditionally in the surveying
so
and
funny.
engineer
We've been
space.
talking about the same
It's
thing
like,
and
let's get some
expanding
attorneys
reach a little
on
bit.
and some, just awareness in other professions. And so far when we've done it, the connection between what we usually talk about and what guests that we don't think are in our
Isn't
space,
it scary?
It's all connected on the back end. It's pretty wild.
And to take that one step further, another thing that we try to do is have once a month, have somebody on who is completely unrelated to surveying, geospatial development, whatever. Like we've had Olympic athletes on, we've had bands on, we've had, you know who we had on? So I don't know if you ever see this, but there's it's in England, I think it was, but the cheese rolling thing. They roll this ball of cheese, or wheel of cheese down this hill. It's like 45 degrees. I don't know if you've seen this, but Google it, first of all. Just cheese rolling, whatever. It is the most insane thing. These people chase this wheel of cheese down this 45-degree slope, and they're tumbling like rag dolls all the way down to the bottom of this hill, right? And
I feel like the four of us are uniquely qualified to compete in that.
Yes. But the thing is,
we've established the U.S. team.
There was this one guy, because I watched on YouTube. I started watching. I mean, you go down those rabbit holes, and this is one of the ones I went down. And this guy kept showing up on he won it like for 8 years in a row or whatever. So I'm like, I got to get this guy on the podcast. So I reached out to him via Instagram, and sure as shit, he reached out back and said, sure, I'd love to do it. I don't know the first thing about podcasts, but we had him on. It was the funnest conversation. Yeah.
And I really like the Tom, the dinosaur guy.
Oh yeah, Tom Hebert. Yep, archaeologist or paleontologist.
Right.
Yeah. Another wannabe surveyor, as a matter of fact.
Well, that one's in the dirt. Yeah, kind of.
What you guys have so much content, considering that you're again a uniquely qualified guest today. But in the short time that we have left, what aren't we asking you either about the space that Alta's in, or you guys as proper in Geoholics? Sean, what kind of brief message do you want to share?
I think it's kind of circling back to where we started, and like a lot what we get into in our show about spreading awareness for different paths of careers, and especially in a technical field. And We want to really spread the knowledge that surveying is not just holding the stick beside the side of the road. And there's a lot more things to do around the civil development space than just going to ASU and getting a BS in civil engineering and taking that path. I mean, between lab testing and material testing and just on the data collection side and all the different things that we can do that a lot of kids these days just aren't aware of and don't know and don't realize that you can be very successful and have a good career even if you don't want to take a traditional route.
Well stated.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I don't have much more to add to that, but I will say, like our last episode that just went out today, as a matter of fact, we had a panel of guests on talking about a lot of what we've already touched on, but just how do we create more awareness about the profession? And I made the comment, like, why when you Google like top 5 coolest careers, why isn't surveying showing up there? Because it really is. You know, it is an absolute
it's
blast.
A lack of messaging. And
lack of messaging. But, you know, if you like math and technology and solving problems and being outside, I mean, I don't know too many careers that offer what land surveying does.
And that's the one thing that came up is one of our other friends, Trent Keenan.
Yeah.
He was going to the guidance counselor conference.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
Specifically to let the guidance counselors know, like, hey, look, here's some other options for careers. And we were sitting there looking at each other like, that is a genius idea.
Yeah.
But it's thinking all the CTE guests that we've had on. Every time we have a different guest about this topic, there's this tangent and you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Right? Just like this.
Yeah.
And they're also obvious, Sean and Kent. You're like, okay, duh.
Yeah.
But back to you said, us old guys, we have to train our brains to think differently, and gals, where this younger generation, it's like, put the problem out there. They'll solve it in about half a nanosecond compared to what we process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You just got to swallow your pride sometimes and let them do it, you know, because lots of times you're like you don't want to be one-upped by somebody who's half your age or something like that. But let them run with it. Let them solve the problem.
Yeah,
it's going to make you look good.
I've talked myself out of that. I used to, we all tend to get into that little thing, but I've gotten so used to it. Like, if you're younger and you can have at it.
Please, knock me off the perch.
Exactly.
Here, I'll even give you the tools.
Yeah, exactly. We would be remiss if, in all of this discussion of podcasting, if we didn't give an additional plug to Personalized Solutions. If you are local in the Phoenix market and you are looking for production and people that just really know what they're doing and the social media side, these guys at Personalized Solutions are a good choice. And I'm just sorry that you guys didn't get to them sooner. You'd have been on. We'd have caught you earlier. That's okay. But and by no means is this a paid plug. They just really are good folks. Anything you want to add?
No, I just this was even better than I expected because we have this like what's the word, like this brotherly connection with that. I just knew that getting you guys on ours to help send the message out was what we needed to do.
Now, this is just this side of me. It's how my head works. In my head right now, I've been thinking, we need to find something the 4 of us can do and make a podcast out of that.
Heck yeah.
So we're all going to go to Vegas and just hang out at different conventions for
cheese roll training.
Oh,
yes.
And document cheese roll to the training.
I feel like we should be on
you're the chaser.
I feel like we should be on ESPN, the Ocho, because like dodgeball and axe throwing.
I have to throw it out there. Kent here is an avid curler, and I think this show,
Coyote curling, we got a team right here.
We have a curling team.
We have a 4-man curling team
I'm a
right
good
here.
sweeper. I don't know much about sweeping on ice, but yeah, I could learn.
Yeah,
curling's a scene like that.
It's the best.
That's
best sport.
Midwest
Come
guys.
on.
Good grief.
When you grew up as part of a subsidiary of Canada, you know curling, okay?
That's exactly right. You want to reach out to these guys. What's the best way to get a hold of you? Through your page,
You
your
can go to our
website,
website, thegeoholics.com.
Okay.
Email us at info@thegeoholics.
Or through your proper channels at Alta.
Yeah, or through at Alta, and we're on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yep,
find us there.
Have a group on LinkedIn and a page on Instagram. Yep. Yeah.
And
we're on Facebook as well, but
or ATF Most Wanted. I mean, well, that didn't have anything to do with alcohol, but it's close.
Hey, I want to ask you guys, where does Mac come from?
Oh, it's great. It means most amazing construction. Actually, it was when this came about. I was working for a company called Mac Prefab.
Okay.
And in our initial exploratory discussion, we were like, "Oh, what do we call this thing?" We're trying to come up with names, and we thought, okay, there's, we could do it as a play on black and blue.
Yep.
Mac, and of course, Blue, the name of Blue Wave. And then that took, and then not long after that, I say maybe a few months after that, I moved to Tory.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, let's just keep rolling with it. It's already out there, people, but it's great. And to be honest with you, I love the questions because it's kind of one of the reasons we kept it. It is a great conversation piece. And I'm coming up with more and more things, the acronym,
Yeah. It's a great logo.
Yeah, thank you.
Love it.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys. It was awesome to have you
you,
guys.
guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. So thank
We'll
you.
have to do it again.
And
Definitely.
please, for those of you that are subscribing to us, subscribe to them.
Yeah,
You'll love their
absolutely
content
fine.
as
go
well.
to YouTube channel. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Okay, go to YouTube channel. Subscribe.
We'll send out a bunch of links when we publish this as well.
and we'll blow it up and send you some stuff to
Awesome.
share on yours.
That sounds
Take
great.
us out of here.
You've been listening to the Mac and Blue Show, brought to you by Tory Contracting and Blue Wave General Contracting. Be sure to subscribe to the Mac and Blue podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky on LinkedIn and Instagram. Tune in live every first and third Thursday at 3 p.m. as we continue to introduce you to the people building Arizona. Walt Disney said, "You can dream, create, design, and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it requires people to make the dream a reality." Until next time, make it a great day.